Yo, welcome back. This is Support Via Quirk Larceny by Flapjack09. Chapter 13, Fun with Quirks, the sequel. So, you fought a centuries-old criminal mastermind with the same quirk as you, and managed to walk out of it with a large chunk of his stash? Kaminari asked. That's right, Izuku replied. Izuku was invited on a mall trip by Class 1A as they got supplies for summer training camp. Izuku wasn't going, but he'd never pass up on the opportunity to hang out with friends. Naturally, the topic of the Iguana Island incident came up, having happened only a week prior and over half the class being in the building where it happened. I thought we were supposed to keep it under wraps, Ribbit, Suyu spoke. Well, how else am I supposed to explain all these new quirks? Aliens? That piqued Ochako's interest. Exactly how many quirks did you get? Izuku shrugged. I'm not actually sure. Normally I can sense what quirks I have in my body, but there are so many right now that I can barely tell one from another. It's like digging through an overflowing garbage bin. Kaminari snickered. So you're saying your quirks are garbage? They might be. I can't tell. I'll just have to figure it out as I go along. Ochako narrowed her eyes in concern. That doesn't seem very safe. It'll probably be fine. Why is there a giant metal spike piercing through the school? Cementos asked in disbelief. Izuku shrunk in embarrassment. May and I stayed after school to get some extra lab work done, and she startled me with one of her explosions. I guess that caused an involuntary quirk activation? Don't worry, no one was hurt. Cementos huffed. Very well. It may take some good work, but I think I can remove it safely. Izuku shrunk even more. That's the problem. I saw it squirming earlier. I'm pretty sure it's alive. What? Yeah, have you ever seen Neon Genesis Evangelion? I think it's kind of like that. It's got a metal exoskeleton, and there's like a human soul inside or something. I'm telling you this because I haven't seen Mei since I summoned the metal spike, and there's a non-zero chance I'd turn her into it. Cementos? I think I'm gonna need therapy after this is all over. After Hound Dog finished his therapy session with Cementos, he looked over his electronic calendar to see if he had any more appointments for the day. It turned out that all of Class 1A had scheduled a group therapy session in a few minutes, and this appointment wasn't made too long ago. Hound Dog wondered what could have led to this development. When Class 1A arrived and sat in a circle, Hound Dog noticed they were all glaring at each other, seemingly having conversation with facial expressions alone. He decided to be blunt with the matter. So, Class 1A, would you mind telling me why you all came to see me? Katsuki spoke up. Shitty Deku gave me an empathy quirk because I need to work on my people skills, which I don't. But the quirk backfired and it made it so we can all hear each other's thoughts. So a hive mind. Yeah, it fucking sucks. Ida chopped his arm in frustration. Bakugo, I must remind you to stop swearing, both internally and externally. Jiro groaned. Ida, we get enough of you during class every day. Could you please stop policing our minds too? You're one to talk, Shinzo pointed out. Whenever you get a song stuck in your head, it becomes everyone's problem. Especially when it's Weezer. Those guys are overrated, Kaminari said. Jiro gasped like she had just witnessed Kaminari murder her mom. You take that back! From there, any semblance of order completely evolved into a catastrophe of yells and complaints. Your music taste is trash. Mina keeps mentally poking me. Kirishima thinks too loudly. Why does everyone here have an inferiority complex? Aoyama's been working for the villains, and I don't know how to feel about that. Koda doesn't sleep. He just doesn't sleep, and it's freaking me out. I now know who has a crush on who, and I need a bigger shipping chart. Hound Dog sighed as he took a swig of coffee. He was gonna need it. Okay, so, funny story. I was on a grocery run and I was really craving meatballs. That part might not seem important, but it'll come back. Anyway, I was walking to the train station when this little girl bumped into me. She was covered in cuts and bandages, so my first instinct was to take her to a doctor, but before I could do that, a guy wearing a bird mask walked up to me and claimed to be her father. I didn't buy it, and the man got angry with me. It ended up escalating until the man took off his gloves and lunged at me. I didn't know what he was trying to do, so my gut instinct was just to take his quirk. That turned out to be a good move because his body turned into a meatball the moment I tried to slap him away. Turns out his quirk reshapes matter, and he turned into a meatball because that's what I was thinking about. I told you it would come back. Anyway, the guy was still alive, even as a meatball, so I took him to the police, and it turns out he was some sort of Yakuza guy who was killing and reviving his daughter in order to make time bullets. So that's how I got a new quirk and a new little sister. Cool, right? Night-Eye blinked at Izuku incredulously. Who are you? Izuku burst into the teacher's lounge and ran up to the only other person in the room. Midnight, midnight, midnight! You're cute when you panic, but I need you to calm down, Midnight suggested. Izuku took a few deep breaths and started talking. I hypothesized Uraraka. Midnight paused for a moment to comprehend that sentence. You mean... I accidentally turned her into a time god. Okay, Midnight said cautiously. Let's start from the beginning. How did you hypothesize her? Okay, when I figured out I had a quirk that prevented nausea, I gave it to Uraraka so it might mitigate the main drawbacks of her quirk. What I didn't know is that without said drawbacks, the quirk kept getting stronger and stronger. Uraraka messed with gravity so much she made a wormhole, and now she's on another plane of existence. I think she's trying to rig the lottery now. Midnight took several deep breaths before speaking. Okay, that's a lot. What do we do? I think starting a religion would be the best place to begin. Then we go from there. Got it. I'll go get a sacrificial lamb. All Might, we have a problem, Ribbit. All Might looked up from his paperwork as Tsuyu and Izuku entered the room. What's wrong? I started floating in class. Alright then. Young Midoriya, can you please take back the quirk you gave her? Izuku groaned in frustration. Everyone thinks I gave her a quirk, but I didn't. Normally, having more than 2 quirks causes the person to go catatonic, but when I inspected her quirk, the pass holders brought me in and told me that Sue would start manifesting their quirks. Do you know what that means? We need to research the pass holders? Sue asked. No, it means I finally found someone else who can store a bunch of quirks without going brain dead. Sue furrowed her brow. Please don't treat me like a quirk storage unit, Ribbit. What if I let you hold on to that quirk that lets you automatically calculate the perfect tip at restaurants? I'm now open to negotiations. Why is the entire school underwater? President Mike yelled as he approached the gates of Via. He was submerged in a floating cube of water. Take a guess, Aizawa said as he walked up to his friend. Midoriya found a new quirk, didn't he? Right on the money. Can't you just erase it? Isn't that your whole thing? Aizawa shrugged. I tried, but it just reactivated when I blinked. He reached into a bag and pulled out 1 set of scuba gear. We're focusing on underwater rescue in class today. What about all the non-hero students? That's a you problem. Midoriya, I've had enough, Powerloader said as he stomped up to his student. Enough of what? Izuku asked obliviously. I can't get a moment of peace around here with all these quirk accidents happening on a daily basis. It drives me to drink so much that I'm overloading the alcohol tolerance quirk you gave me. I don't know why it took me this long, but I'm signing you up for mandatory quirk counseling. Oh, I don't think that'll be needed. Why not? I gave away most of my new quirks to quirkless people. Keeping track of all those new powers was starting to become a hassle. Powerloader gave a relieved sigh, which then quickly dissipated as he realized something. Wait, did you say most of your new quirks? Which ones did you keep? Izuku perked up. Funny you mention that. By combining the effects of Overhaul, Mirage, Quirk Solidification, Amplification, Commanding Voice, and Energy Manipulation, I figured out how to do this. Izuku placed his hand in his hair. My hair is now blue. As soon as Izuku finished this sentence, his hair began to shift hue until it was completely dark blue. Powerloader stared in disbelief. You... That's right! Izuku cheered. I essentially created a reality warping quirk in the same vein as Star and Stripes. I'm thinking of calling it Newer Order. What do you think? In place of a response, Powerloader just stood there in silence for a few moments before fainting. He was never going to know peace again. And oh my god, we did it! We finished! Finally! Wait, no, not finally. We made it! Yes! Oh gosh, I love this fic so much, and I hope you guys did too. So if you guys liked it, I would really recommend leaving kudos or a comment or something. I think it would be very appreciated. And what else? There was something else. Oh, okay. So next fic should be posted in the next few days. It's going to be a new Podfic series. It is going to be called, let me get it up, hold up. I think it is called Deal with the Devil by Chloe Whispers. And this fic will be 113,558 words and 18 chapters, which I will split up into different parts because, that's a little too long to be doing in, one video every time. So, that will be up in the next few days. I hope you guys enjoyed this series and have a good day, night, afternoon, whatever. Bye!